Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. I'm just waiting for another minute or so until YouTube shows me that we are actually on the air before I start this program. There we go. I just got that okay from YouTube that we're on the air. I want to welcome everybody who will be joining us here on the Emergency Management Program. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Sheila Dean is here. Richard Smith from Nova Scotia is here. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, guys. Juanito from El Centro, California is here. Thank you, Juanito. Richard Smith is here. Demon Catman from east of England is here. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it. I'm going to wait for another minute or so to get going here. I want to make sure we don't have to repeat ourselves 2 or 3 times throughout the program. We're going to be starting this broadcast with earthquakes. We're going to be starting this broadcast with volcanoes, and we're going to be finishing this broadcast with emergency preparedness information. I want to make that clear. We're going to be talking about emergency preparedness throughout this broadcast. Why are we talking about preparedness? Can anybody tell me why we would be talking about emergency preparedness on this program? Why would we? Where does it come from? Why do we need to be talking about emergencies and preparedness? Can anybody tell me why we're doing this? George Rashad from California is here. Thank you, Richard. George, thank you, George, very much. We appreciate it a lot. Expect the unexpected, George says. Absolutely right. We need to be ready to expect the unexpected. If we're not ready, we're screwed. If we're not ready, we may die or we may become injured because we're not familiar with what's going on around us. That is the biggest reason to become prepared. Our families may get hurt. Our children or grandchildren might get hurt. We don't want that to happen. My worst nightmare is for somebody here in our audience, when something happens, might get hurt or killed. That's my worst nightmare. Darlene Ram is here saying those who do not know how to prepare are the biggest problem. I agree. That's why we talk about this. Thank you for that, Darlene. I appreciate that. I want people to be prepared. That is our biggest thing, preparedness. Preparedness, preparedness, preparedness. We've talked about volcanoes. We've talked about hurricanes. We talked about earthquakes. We talked about snow. We talked about flooding. We talked about fires. All these can happen. We talked about tornadoes as well. All these can happen, and they can happen at the drop of a hat. A lot of things can happen. Thunderstorms turning barren land into raging infernos. I've seen that happen. I've seen thunderstorms and lightning hitting homes and businesses. I've seen lightning hitting in the forest. I've seen lightning hitting in an open field, starting a fire. I've seen lightning hitting near an open street, right in a housing development. I've seen that. We talked about preparedness of all kinds. Okay? We're always talking about this, and there's a reason for it. I want people to understand what's going on. I want you to be prepared so you don't get hurt. I want you to be prepared so you don't get injured or killed. I want you to get prepared so you can help your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren avoid nightmares, avoid emergencies with a passion. If you're prepared, you should not fear. That is the biggest thing that the scriptures tell us. If we are prepared, we should not fear. Preparedness is a very strong emotion. Preparedness is a very strong fact in our lives. A very strong fact in our lives. Folks, we need to do that. Darlene Ram is asking, any hints how to protect yourself living in apartments? Do I go out? You might, we'll talk about this, okay? We'll definitely talk about that. Living in apartments. I live in an apartment here with my wife in North Carolina. We are 1,200 feet above sea level. It's unlikely that we will ever see a tsunami or a ocean wave at this elevation that we're at. But there are other things that can happen. Okay? We're right smack dab in the middle of Tornado Alley here in North Carolina. We've seen thunderstorms roll through here all the time. We see thunderstorms just south of us, where NCWQ Disasters Explorer lives, Fayette, North Carolina. Today they've had nothing but rainstorms there. Heavy rain and thunder all night last night and all day today. She's faced that. Her and her family have faced that. Have you ever been in a thunder and lightning storm for over 24 hours where the ground moves and keeps going? It's incredible. It's an incredible feeling the earth shake as the lightning hits your home. I've been outside when lightning has hit, when thunderstorms have hit, and the ground shakes. It's incredible. It's incredible. Brofish is in our chat room today saying 3 quakes on the west side offshore in the Cascadia subduction zone in the last hour. Yes, I'm very familiar with that. USGS is trying to not put out that information. All day today, USGS has shown 1 earthquake off the coast of Canada. Just 1 earthquake. Why? We know darn well there are a lot of earthquakes off the coast of Canada, and quite a few earthquakes off the west coast of North America. Why are they only showing 1 earthquake? Why? Okay? Because they don't want anybody to know it. I've said this before and I'll say it again and again and again. The politicians don't want anybody to know what's going on because they want to stay in office. That is their biggest reason for doing what they do. They want to stay in office. Okay? They're going to do this over and over and over. They're telling the agencies, don't talk to anybody. Don't tell them what's going on. But we know darn well what is going on. Today, over in the Blanco fracture zone, off the coast of Oregon, we've had a 3.60 earthquake. A 3.60 earthquake today off the coast of Oregon. 2 other earthquakes have also hit. Where are they? They're not talking. They're not showing us what's happening. Okay? Crazy, huh? Crazy. But they don't care. They don't care. Now here on the European map here, they're not showing any earthquakes in the Cascadia region. Showing any earthquakes here in the Cascadia region here, either on the Juan de Fuca Fault or on the Cascadia subduction zone. They're not showing any, but there are. I guarantee you there are earthquakes here. Okay? Now, why are we so concerned about this area? Why are we so concerned about this Cascadia area? Because over 300 years ago, there was a major earthquake right here. Right here. It shook the ground all up and down the North American continent. All up and down the North American continent. It wasn't just that. It shook the ground throughout the United States. Let me make this map smaller. That earthquake shook the ground all the way across the United States to the East Coast. That major earthquake shook the ground all the way to the East Coast. Okay? We know what happened. We definitely know what happened. All the way across the continent. Canada and the United States. But it shook the West Coast as well. The entire West Coast. And when that happened, what else happened? Within 15 or 20 minutes after the earthquake, a great tsunami came up. A huge tsunami came up. What happened? Anybody have a good idea? The tsunami hit. What the earthquake did not take down, the tsunami did. And that's exactly what is going to happen this time. What that major earthquake takes down here, there is more property that will not be taken down by the earthquake. But what the earthquake doesn't take down, the tsunami that comes 15 to 20 minutes after that earthquake hits, the tsunami is going to take down as well. Okay? All over the area. Literally all over the area. We have someone, Foams, here in the chat that said they felt a tremor under the earth today in northern upstate Michigan. Northern upstate Michigan. Now, the USGS and the EMSC is not showing it. They're not showing this earthquake in upstate Michigan at all. It happened. It happened. People felt it. The EMSC here is not showing it, and the USGS is also not showing it. Okay? Now, custody defender protege saying, so they're not even going to let us prepare in time. They're not. The agencies don't give a darn about you. They don't give a darn about me, and they don't give a darn about you. That's why we are on the air. There is no other channel like us that talks about everything that could possibly happen, and we talk about emergency preparedness as well. We go deep, dog, full-blown into it. That's what we've always done. Demon Catman says they don't want panic. They don't want mass movement of people for reasons of politics and finance and control. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. When something happens, let's go back to the West Coast example. When the Cascadia megathrust earthquake happens here, the politicians and the city people do not know how to handle massive people running out in the streets, running away from the earthquake, running away from the shores of the ocean here. They don't know how to handle that. Rather than do emergency preparedness training for the residents of the coastal areas, they are ignoring it. They don't want to talk about it. There are people that are doing something about it. I can guarantee you there are people doing something about it. Even in the areas west of Interstate 5. Even in the areas west of Interstate 5, we have people that are building schools up on top of hillsides, well above the area where the tsunami wave will hit, because they know darn well what's going to happen. They're going to have people rushing to these areas. Yes, they have these schools now built. They've been building them for about 3 or 4 years now. The schools are now built, and they're actually able to handle about 2,000 or 3,000 people now, each one of them. They're working on other properties to help house people. They know this earthquake is coming. Scientists have been saying for a very long time, oh, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about. This earthquake will not strike for another 25 to 50 years. We know that's a bunch of bull. Given all the earthquakes that we've been seeing, we know what the people have been told, it's bull. Because every major earthquake, every strong earthquake, every large earthquake that hits, it only solidifies the fact that a much larger earthquake is inbound. It only solidifies the fact that another major earthquake is inbound. That's what we've been seeing off the coast of Vancouver Island during the past week. Now, over a week ago, there was over 2,000 earthquakes off the coast of Vancouver Island in one day. Over 2,000 earthquakes in one day. Did USGS tell anybody about it? No. Did the EMSC, the European agency, say anything about it? No. We had to go over to the seismograms to see anything going on. And we did. We talked about it. We've been talking about earthquakes ever since off the coast of Washington, Oregon, and California. It's going to happen. Adventuring Mike just gave us another $5 super chat. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate that very much. God bless you for that. Folks, we're serious about this. This is why we talk about preparedness all the time. This is the exact reason we talk about preparedness all the time. When we start talking about preparedness, the number of viewers here on this channel plummets because people don't want to realize what's going on. They don't want people to understand what's going on. They don't want people to do anything about it either. Custody Defender's protege says USGS needs some auditing and defending them. No, they don't need defending. USGS, as we know it, should be disbanded. The United States Geological Survey should be disbanded, except for the scientists that work for the agency. Except for the scientists who work for the agency. Why am I saying that? Because the scientists do not have any say on whether the general public gets the information. Okay? They don't have any say about that. It is the managers. It is the USGS managers that need to be fired. They need to be fired in great mass. Okay? Protege is saying defunding, not defending. Defunding. Absolutely right. They need to be defunded. They need to go into the agency and reevaluate what the agency's doing. Now, Demon Catman is saying they're auto-corrupt. Absolutely. Absolutely they are. They are corrupt. They've been allowed to be corrupt for about 15 or 20 years, at least. At least. Now, this corruption started about 30 or 40 years ago. Way back when I was in college. Way back when I was trying to get my degree. I noticed something happening then. But I believed in what the USGS had done. They were showing us earthquakes. They were showing us everything happening. They made us study geology. They made us get the information, the basic information to do our jobs. Now people like myself are out on the street. People like myself are talking about it. Why? Because now we have the information to warn the public. Now we have the information to warn the public. Do the politicians want us to have this information? Oh, heaven's sakes, no. No. What are they doing now? What are the damn politicians doing now? They still do not want the public to know what's happening. They are hiding information. They are hiding information in a big way. Now, I didn't mean to get into politics this soon, but what happened in Pennsylvania today? Well, actually for the last few days. The Hillary Clinton people and their lawyers have made it legal for those unmonitored ballot boxes to put on the street. They're putting unmanned ballot boxes on the street. If we wanted to have ballot boxes on the street, we would use our U.S. Postal Service to use mail-in balloting. But the Democrats have put these unmanned ballots out on the street so they can pad the ballot box. So they can pull ballots or make ballots and just drop them en masse in the ballot box. So when it comes to counting ballots, the courts are not going to be able to stop the ballot boxes from being counted. because the judges are going to say, well, there may be some good ballots in there. So they are going to allow those ballots in that unmanned ballot box to be counted. This is just a part of the problem. This is a part of the problem. The Democrats want everybody to vote. The Democrats are wanting, and they've already started about 2 years ago, by employing what they call non-governmental agencies, private agencies to pad the ballot boxes, getting these people that the Democrats have brought into this country to vote, illegal aliens to vote. They've got illegal aliens to vote now. The law says that anyone who is a citizen of this country can vote. Why are we allowing illegals voting? Because the Democrat Communist Party wants them to vote so they can stay in power. It's all about power and money. It's all about power and money. Jose Rodriguez says, what did they do last election? The same thing. They said they did that, and back in 2016, they were telling us that Trump was doing it. Trump was not doing it, but the Democrats were. The Democrats were doing it, and now they're doing it en masse. Biden opened up the borders in 2020. He said he was going to knock the border fences down that Trump had put up. He has not been able to do that. However, Biden has sent his cronies out into the field to cut open holes in the border fence and weld gates, taking those pieces of steel that Trump put in there and putting doors out there and welding those doors open, welding those gates open, allowing anybody and everybody to come in. Anybody and everybody is coming in. There are probably close to 10 to 15,000 people coming across our borders illegally. 10 to 15,000 people a day coming across our borders illegally. They're called gotaways. There are that many people coming across through our border checkpoints, through our ports of entry. But Biden has the Border Protection Agency, the Customs Border Patrol, the Customs Border Protection, letting these people in. Telling them, oh, gather their names and let them in. What's the problem with that? These illegals are stopping them before they get to our border. They're dumping their border cards at the gates. They're dumping their identity cards at the gates. Dumping their passports. They're dumping their driver's licenses. They're dumping their federal ID cards from wherever they came. Over 129 countries, people are dropping their border cards at the gate that Trump built. Well, how do I know this? Because my former, I can't even say former, my friends that we have at the border are picking up identification cards at the border on the southern side of the border. We see people from Iran. We see people from Iraq, from Afghanistan. We see people from Saudi Arabia. We see people from all over the Middle East. We see people from the UK. We see people from Saudi, or I already mentioned Saudi Arabia. We see people from Russia. We see people from China coming into the country. Eventually Mike says Africa as well. Yes, we see people from all over Africa entering the United States, and they allegedly don't have any IDs when they approach our border. They tell our border, Customs Border Protection, we don't have an ID. That's because they dump it on the ground before they cross. I know for a fact, I've seen it. I've seen videos from sheriff's deputies, police officers, border patrol picking up these IDs. They have thousands of IDs in their custody. It's happening. And these people are going to be allowed to vote. These people are getting allowed to vote. Kramer Wells says earthquakes are on. Earthquakes are on. We get enough political information from elsewhere. Kramer, I'm telling you, I've talked about earthquakes, and I'm going to continue to talk about earthquakes. But what you need to know is what these people are doing is going to affect you. It's going to affect your families. It's going to affect your children and grandchildren. That's why we're talking about it. You can help us stop it. All of you can help us stop it. You can help us stop it. If you don't help us stop it, nobody else will. Okay? Now, custody defender protege said, I heard an environmental historian say we're due a second ice age, but I thought it's wrong. Can large-scale quakes cause that? Large-scale quakes could cause that to a certain extent, but it's not the earthquakes that are going to happen. It's not necessarily the earthquakes that are going to cause that. What is going to cause that? Folks, what are we seeing down in the Antarctic region? What are we seeing up at the Arctic region, up north? It's happening both north and south. We have tectonic plates moving. We have tectonic plates moving. It's not just earthquake faults on land. It's the tectonic plates moving that could cause a possible ice age. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I burped. I haven't done that in ages. I'm sorry for that, guys. This can happen. As the tectonic plates move, it could cause an ice age. One of my buddies, Rob52, who is a very dear friend of mine, is talking about volcanoes. Volcanoes could also cause an ice age. How is that possible? When we have an eruption, what happens? All of that SO2, the sulfur dioxide, and carbon dioxide go up into the atmosphere. What else goes up there? Ash. Ash. I'm going to mention right now one of the volcanoes that erupted about 5 years ago, 4.5, 5 years ago. There was a volcano over on the Kamchatka Peninsula. A major volcano erupted. It erupted up to 85,000 feet above sea level. The largest eruption that the world has ever seen. The largest volcano eruption that the world has ever seen. We talked about it here on this program 4.5, 5 years ago. We talked about it. We were the only YouTube channel or Rumble channel or any other channel that talked about it. USGS denied it. USGS said, oh, Mr. Tyler is putting up false information. USGS was trying to get YouTube to cancel me. They were unsuccessful. But what else happened? After that volcano erupted, about 4 to 5 days later, all of a sudden, the United States Geological Survey had to admit that that volcano did erupt. Why? Because the ash and the sulfur dioxide and the carbon dioxide that went high up into the stratosphere had already made its way to Alaska. It had already made its way to Alaska. And now the USGS had their shorts, or caught with their shorts down. They had to admit that they were wrong and I was right. We talked about it. We saw it happen. What can happen? The ash from the volcanoes could block out the sun, couldn't it? But it's not just the ash. The sulfur dioxide can also prevent sunlight from hitting the earth. High concentrations of sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide could cut off the sunlight from the earth, which would cause a drastic lowering of the temperatures on the surface of the earth. It could happen. If that volcano and many others erupted at the same time, that could happen. I believe it has happened before. It could happen again. Okay? And it's not just that. What else happens in our solar system? We've talked a great deal about comets hitting the Earth. We've seen comets hit the sun. Just a few days ago, there was a comet that hit the sun. My buddy, Mark Wages, talked about it on his channel. I've got links to his channel, but every time I put them up on my program description, YouTube takes them down. I mentioned Mark Wages' channel because you all can go over there and monitor his channel yourselves. He's got a lot of information. This latest channel, or latest information he put on his channel is very important. Starting tomorrow, we have a coronal mass ejection that happened 3 days ago, or nearly 3 days ago. The solar flares, the plasma radiation from the sun, is going to reach the Earth starting tonight into tomorrow. That's going to cause even more earthquakes than we've seen. Why? Because the plasma radiation hits the upper parts of the atmosphere. It causes geomagnetic interference in our atmosphere. It causes radio blackouts, radio and TV blackouts. The pilots cannot transmit to air traffic control from the airliners. The airliners cannot get traffic from the air traffic controllers. Ham radios are affected all around the world. It's not just that. Satellites, satellite communication with NASA in Houston, satellite communications with Russia in Roscosmos at Star City, Russia. The space station cannot communicate with the Earth anywhere when these solar eruptions happen. The plasma radiation prevents it. Okay? We talked about this. Ham radios, aircraft, space, weather, satellites, and the space station. And not just that. High frequency police, fire, and paramedic communication is also disrupted. Our television signals are disrupted as well. I've had television signals here where I live in North Carolina be disrupted because of the plasma radiation eruption from the sun. We're going to see that tonight into tomorrow and probably all weekend long. Okay? It's going to happen. It will happen. Are you prepared for it? Have you thought about it? It's not just that. It's not just radio and television communications interruption. Each and every one of us are humans. Each and every one of us, our bodies are made of 60 to 70% water. 60 to 70% water. Our pets, our animals on this earth are also affected. It affects our brains. It affects us the way we feel. People can actually get heart attacks from these solar radiation solar storms. It's happened before, it'll happen again. Do you realize what is going to happen? Are you trying to take precautions so you are not as affected as you possibly could be? One of my dearest friends, Heather, you guys know her as Hurricane Heather. We don't see her here right now. She had a concussion as a result of her walking her dog. But she herself has been affected by solar radiation, and many others of you have been as well. Okay? It can affect each one of us. It can affect our animals and their behavior. It can affect us. What do you do to protect yourselves? Number one, you wear proper covering of your bodies while you're outside. If you have to be outside during the height of these solar storms, You need to wear a wide-brimmed hat. You need to wear a wide-brimmed hat that will protect your head, your skin. You need to wear long-sleeved clothing. Now, you may think I am crazy. Wearing long-sleeved clothing in this weather, 70s, 80s, 90-degree temperatures outside, and in Vegas, 120 degrees in Vegas, and some parts of California, Utah, Nevada, and Idaho are seeing those temperatures in the hundreds. It's happening in Colorado. You need to protect yourselves. You need to wear clothing that's appropriate to protect your skin. If you have to or don't have to go out, don't. Stay inside. Stay inside. That is one of the best ways you can protect yourselves, by staying inside if you don't have to be outside. Even when I go outside right now to water my plants, my tomato plants, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had a solar storm and the radiation shriveled my leaves of my tomato plants. It killed them. It killed them. Right now I have only 3 flowers on my tomato plants. 3 flowers. And yet these tomato plants have been growing for months now. I have 3 flowers. I may only see 3 tomatoes from these tomato plants this season. I hope it's a lot more. But I believe it's the solar storms that have shocked my tomato plants and burned the leaves. I've seen it happen. Okay? Renee Steffi says, wear SPF 50 or greater sunscreen, at least. Waterproof as possible. Remember, slip-on sunglasses, dark sunglasses, so the solar flares don't take that UV radiation and harm your eyes. Be very careful. UV ultraviolet radiation is very high right now as a result of this solar activity and the thinning of our magnetosphere. The Earth's magnetosphere last year came out of what they call a solar minimum. The solar minimum thinned out our magnetosphere. And as a result, our magnetosphere is not as strong as it used to be. The magnetosphere also protects us from plasma radiation. The magnetosphere also helps to protect us from incoming comets or asteroids. The thinning of the magnetosphere is allowing us, on the Earth, to be more vulnerable than we should have to be. Okay? Make sure you're ready. All we are asking everyone to do is be ready. Prepare. Renee Steffi says, drink plenty of water. In extreme heat, drink plenty of fluids. Take frequent breaks when having to work outside if you have to work outside. Okay? It's super hot. It's very hot. Now, some of this might also be due to the elites that are trying to zap our storms, causing our storms to do more damage where we live here on this earth. I also believe that. I totally believe that. Our storms also have a great deal to do with the way we feel and what we're doing. You need to be aware of this. My buddy Rick Silva, who's a very dear friend of mine, is here in the chat again. Welcome, Rick. Rick says also the man-made street clouds in the sky are having a negative effect on vegetation, etc. Street clouds is what he's talking about, is the clouds up in the sky caused by planes. Most of these planes are jet planes putting out illegal toxins into the atmosphere. This also has been happening for a very long time. Okay? Rick says, hope everyone's doing well and had a wonderful day today. Thank you, Rick. We appreciate you so much. Rick has been a very dear friend of mine, and I really appreciate he and his wife. Great, great people. Anyway, guys, we're being affected. We're being affected. What can we do about it? I've been talking now about what we can do about it. Okay? Talking about what we can do about it. One of the first things I want to do tonight, though, before I talk about more about emergency preparedness, I want to talk about some volcanoes. The first volcano we're going to talk about is Mount Shasta. Okay? Mount Shasta. Right up here we have Medicine Lake here. Mount Shasta is right here. Okay? Medicine Lake is a smaller volcano than Shasta. But what you don't realize about Medicine Lake is the USGS has not been reporting accurately what's been going on. Yes, we've had plenty of instances where Medicine Lake has had earthquakes, had magma coming into the volcano. Is USGS letting us know what's going on? No, they're not. They're not telling us anything. Literally anything. Look at this seismogram here. This seismogram should not be telling us what it is. It's trash. All of this that you see is trash. There is not one correct thing here at all. This is what they call abstract. Abstract. Okay? That is at Medicine Lake. This is also happening at Mount Shasta and Mount Lassen and some of the other volcanoes. Let me show you this. This is another instance where USGS is not allowing us to see this seismogram. The seismograph is LAS. LAS here at Medicine Lake. They're not showing us anything, are they? They took it down. They took it down. Demon Catman said I had my finger on my microphone. I'm sorry, I probably did. Okay? They're not showing us this seismogram because they don't want us to see it. Let me show you the third seismogram that should be here. LGM. They've also taken this down. They've also taken this down. That's typically what they do. Now, I want to show you something else. Around Mount Shasta, there are quite a few seismographs all around the area. There's this one here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seismographs. Well, guess what? I'm about to show you the seismograms that we have here. There's only 3 seismographs that are even showing anything significant. Out of all 10 seismographs that are available, only 3 are showing us any kind of data. Unfortunately. Now let me show you the data. This may blow your mind. This may blow your mind, and I hope it will. You need to understand what is happening. I want to go over to Mount Shasta here. This is seismograph LGV, or LGY. Seismograph LGY. Look at this. As with some of the other seismograms that we see, this seismogram starts, USGS starts it at 4 o'clock here in the afternoon yesterday. 1600 hours. Look what we're showing you here. Completely obliterating any of the other lines here. Look what they're showing happen. For 2 hours, from 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon until nearly 6 p.m. 2 hours of data. Look at this. Completely obliterating all the data here. Why? This is magma that's coming into Mount Shasta. This is magma coming into Mount Shasta. What are they showing us the rest of the time here? Absolutely nothing. Why? Because they've either turned down the seismograph or they've turned it off. The lines here are not showing everything here. It stops right here, just after 6 p.m. About 6:02 p.m. yesterday, they turned the thing off or down. This does not happen. When we have this kind of significant data here, it doesn't automatically stop like they're showing it to be. It does not stop like they're showing it to be. That's number one. Here we see a tremor, 2 of them. These tremors probably were stronger earthquakes as a result of magma coming into the magma chamber. And they overcame the electronic turndown of the seismograph. That's the only reason I can think that these tremors even showed up. They're probably larger earthquakes as a result of the magma coming into the magma chamber. Now, we've talked about this before. When there is magma coming into the magma chamber, what happens? The magma is coming in under pressure into the volcanic chamber of the volcano. And when it does that, it fractures rock, which causes earth movement. That's what's going on here. But there's so much magma coming in, it's not showing any of the fracturing rock here. Nothing. That's how much magma is coming into Mount Shasta yesterday afternoon. Right here, this is midnight this morning. Midnight last night, midnight this morning. Let me bring up this seismogram so you can see what happened this afternoon. Right here. They finally turned up the seismograph. They finally turned up the seismograph here, and what do we see? We see large earthquakes here. A pretty darn good sized earthquake here. This earthquake started at 10:30 this morning. About 10:38 this morning. Look at that. They chopped off the top and the bottom of the signature. They chopped off the top and the bottom of this signature. Why? Because they don't want us to know what actually happened. The same thing with this earthquake here, caused by magma coming into the magma chamber. This earthquake happened just after 12 noon today, about 12:04, 12:05 p.m. today. They topped off the top and they topped off the bottom. We do not know how strong this earthquake was, but it was caused by magma. Look what we see here. Look what we see here and after. This is magma coming into the magma chamber here, causing these earthquakes. This earthquake right here. See the vertical line? That's an earthquake. That's an earthquake. You see a vertical line here? Those are earthquakes. Vertical lines here, these are earthquakes. Okay? Caused by magma coming into the magma chamber here. Rob52 just put up our PayPal addresses, but he also showed Venmo. We do not have a Venmo location any longer. Venmo shut me down about 6 months ago. I don't have access to Venmo. If you want to donate to our program here and help fund what we're doing here and help keep us on the air, you go to our PayPal locations. You can go to our PayPal locations and you can donate to our PayPal. Okay? You can also, Rob put it up just a few minutes ago, but we have a location for our post office box. It's 104 North Green Street, box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code is 2865. Again, that address is 104 North Green Street, box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code is 28655. We love to get cards and letters. I don't get too many of them now. I wish I did. I love getting cards and letters. Carol and I just love that. Okay? You can stick a donation right inside the letter or inside the card to help keep this program on the air. We appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. But this is what's happening out now, Shasta. You see this earthquake here? This happened actually about 11:44 a.m. this morning. Look at this earthquake. They cut off the top and they cut off the bottom. This earthquake shows up here at 12 noon as well. Again, it's cut off at the top and the bottom. This earthquake lasted 60 seconds or longer. The other side of it here is a secondary wave. These are the primary waves here. The primary waves are here. This is a secondary wave here. Still getting shaking here. The red lines that you see here are done by a computer. They're computer generated to make sure the seismologist sees what's going on, getting the seismologist's attention. Okay? This is what's going on. But again, the agency cuts off the tops and the bottoms of these quakes so we don't see exactly how strong they are. This is Mount Shasta, guys. Mount Shasta. It could erupt. They're turning the seismograph down so we don't see anything here. Hours. Literally hours, guys. How long did they turn it down? They turned it down from just after 6 p.m. last night. 1800 hours right up here on the left is 6 p.m. They turned it down just after 6 p.m. They did not turn it back up until after 10 a.m. this morning. 10 a.m. this morning. Isn't that interesting? The seismograph was off for 14 hours. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was off for 16 hours. 16 hours. Imagine what we could have seen right here had the seismograph been recording information. These earthquakes didn't just happen. The earthquakes didn't just happen. But that's what USGS wants us to see. Oh, they just happened. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. Not now, not ever. Science is science. It didn't work that way. It has never worked that way. Let me show you another seismograph here at Mount Shasta. These are not as, this seismograph here, it does not show all the activity as we just saw on the other one. BFS Life says also they do this at Yellowstone. You're right. They are doing it at Yellowstone. However, there is no scientific evidence at all that we are seeing large earthquakes at Yellowstone. None at all. What we're seeing at Yellowstone is just tremors. Small tremors. Occasionally we will see small earthquakes. 3.0, 3.3 earthquakes at Yellowstone. In the past 5.5 years, I've only seen 2 moderate 4.0 large earthquakes at Yellowstone. 2 of them. But that does not mean that Yellowstone is about to erupt. It doesn't mean that at all. Back in 1959, west of Yellowstone, there was a large, very strong, major earthquake. It was at least a 7.1 earthquake, and now they're saying it probably was an 8.0. 1959, at Hebgen Lake, west of Yellowstone. It did a lot of damage. It did major damage all over the area of Yellowstone, Montana, and Wyoming. It was felt all the way down to St. George, Utah. That earthquake was felt all the way down to St. George, Utah. At least a 7.1 earthquake, major earthquake over there in Yellowstone. Was it caused by the volcano? No, it was not. It was not caused by the volcano at all. It was an earthquake fault in Yellowstone. An earthquake fault in Yellowstone. Okay? Yellowstone is not anywhere near ready to erupt. Not anywhere close to being ready to erupt. Not now, not for a long time. If that ever happens, we will put the information on the air immediately. Okay? Immediately. Kathy Payena says, when was that, Ron? It was 1959. 1959. You can read about the Hebgen Lake earthquake on the internet. It's all over the internet. I have a lot of information stored on my hard drive about it. We did not cover it because I was not even more than 4 years old at the time. But we talked about it. We talked significantly about that Hebgen Lake earthquake. It was not caused by the Yellowstone volcano. Rick Silva's here in the chat again saying it's amazing how many people have blinders on. I agree. A lot of people have blinders. A lot of people want to listen to the politicians. A lot of people want to listen to what USGS says, although what they say is crap. It's nothing but crap. Now, getting back to Mount Shasta, this seismogram here is the LMC. The seismograph is listed as LMC. Okay? All we see are tremors here. All we see are tremors. This is yesterday afternoon. Yesterday evening. Again, at just after 6 p.m. They're not showing much of anything here. They're not showing much of anything here. If we had major magma coming into Mount Shasta, it would be showing here as well. It's not. They have doctored this seismogram. They've doctored it. All we're seeing are tremors here. Again, from approximately 1930 hours, which is 7:30 p.m. last night. We don't see anything going on. Right here we have some more tremor activity here. But before that and after that, there's nothing. Why? Because they turned down the seismograph. They turned down the seismograph so it's not recording much of any information. This could have been a large earthquake. All this information here could have been large earthquakes. They turned it down. They turned it down. The same thing here. These are probably large earthquakes here. Now, I'm going to enlarge this seismogram a little bit because I want you to see what we see this morning, and this afternoon here. See this red line here? This is an earthquake. It's computer generated because it's red line. The computer generates this line. Why? Because there was an earthquake here. This appears to be a 2.4, 2.5 earthquake caused by magma coming into the magma chamber. This is after 10:20 a.m. this morning. 10:20 a.m. this morning. But they don't want us to know exactly what happened. This is an earthquake caused by magma that's coming into this magma chamber at Mount Shasta, causing this earthquake. Magma fracturing rock here in this magma chamber. The same thing here. This is a 2.5 earthquake. A 2.5 earthquake caused by magma. We see the magma here, caused by magma here. Rock fracturing inside the volcanic chamber. The same thing here. This appears to be a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here, caused by magma here coming into the magma chamber. Is any of this true? We don't know. But I believe the seismograph was turned down, not giving us the correct information, but the computer is. The computer is telling us this is a larger earthquake than what they're saying. This is a larger earthquake than what they're showing here as well, and this as well. Okay? That's Mount Shasta. Let's take a look at Mount Lassen. Mount Lassen. This next slide I'm going to show you is Lassen LDB. Okay? The LDB here. This is a seismograph that's recording the information. Look at these earthquakes here. Look at the thickness of these lines. There is a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber, even up here. This is about 4:11 p.m. yesterday afternoon. Look at this magma coming into the magma chamber here. And the magma is causing these earthquakes. The magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Lassen is causing these earthquakes. All of these earthquakes. Look at the number of earthquakes that are here. Between this sequence here and these sequences down here, we probably have 25 to 30 earthquakes that occurred yesterday evening at Mount Shasta. Yesterday evening at Mount Shasta. Now, look at the other information we have here. Here we're showing less magma coming into the magma chamber than we saw up here. Right here we see increased magma here. Folks, this is 11 p.m. last night right here. These thicker lines indicate a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. And this one is even thicker here at 11:30. Why are we not seeing any earthquakes here? Folks, what is going on here is they turn down the seismograph again. It's not showing us any earthquakes, but we do have an increase in magma. Mary M says, Ron knows more than Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy isn't talking about this. I don't think Bill Nye has ever talked about earthquakes or volcanoes. No, I don't think I know more than Bill Nye the Science Guy, but when it comes to volcanoes and earthquakes, I believe I do. Bill Nye the Science Guy is very knowledgeable. I watched him early on in my life. Okay? Folks, what happened here? Again, this is 11 p.m. last night. 11:30 last night. Thicker lines mean more magma coming into the magma chamber. They're not showing any earthquakes. They're not showing any earthquakes. Why not? Right here we have a tremor. This is after 1 a.m. this morning. This is about 1:12 a.m. this morning. Just a tremor. Why are we not seeing a large earthquake here? Yes, right here we're seeing a thinner line here. Okay? But they're not showing us everything. We're seeing an earthquake here, a small earthquake here, and an earthquake here. Red lines, computer generated, these are earthquakes. But they're not showing us everything. That's because they turned the seismograph way down. They're not allowing the seismograph to tell us the information. When we have gaps in the information, when we have gaps on these lines, they have turned the seismograph off. These white gaps show the seismograph being turned off. Right here, right here, right here, here and here, and over here. Last night and today, there are times they turn the machine off. Down here this afternoon, we're seeing thicker lines here. Why are we not seeing more vertical lines here showing earthquakes and tremors? Because they've turned the machines down. This is Mount Lassen. We're seeing a lot more seismic activity at Mount Lassen than we've seen over at Mount Shasta. But Mount Shasta has seen a lot of activity. But they're not showing it now. The next slide I've got is also Mount Lassen. This is LME. Seismograph LME here. You can see it here. Look at all these earthquakes here. You see all the magma coming in here, and you see these vertical lines here. This is what happens when magma enters the volcanic chamber, causing earthquakes, rock fracturing inside the volcanic chamber. That's what we're seeing. Then again, they turned the seismograph way down again. The seismic evidence here does not just stop. The seismic signals don't just stop. If they stop, it's because the scientists do something about it to stop us from seeing what's going on. Again, you see gaps on these lines where the scientists turned off the seismograph for whatever reason for a few seconds. Then this afternoon, actually early this morning, they started turning the seismograph back up. And again, we see these earthquakes happen. The earthquakes just don't stop unless the scientists do something about it. They don't just stop here. As soon as they turn the seismograph back up, look here. It started all over again. Mount Lassen is getting ready to go. Mount Lassen is getting ready to go, just like Mount St. Helens, just like Mount Rainier. Now, someone earlier told me about 3.0 earthquake happening at Mount St. Helens. Why? Why did it happen? Mount St. Helens has been having 3.0 earthquakes every day at Mount St. Helens 2 or 3 times a day. Why are they not showing to us? Because USBS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network don't want us to know what's going on. You don't see them on the maps because the agencies won't put them there. The agencies don't want us to know what's happening. The only way you're going to see it is if we go to the seismographs. We go to the seismographs and we see what's happening. They've done it on Mount Baker. Yesterday I showed you the seismogram at Mount Baker. They only showed 1 earthquake at Mount Baker, but they downgraded the earthquake. They showed the earthquake off the coast of Vancouver Island as just maybe a 3.0 earthquake that lasted 30 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes. Guess what? They are lying through their teeth. Heaven forbid they tell us the truth. There was just more than 1 earthquake yesterday over off of Vancouver Island. There was 2 6.6s. There was a 6.5. There was a 6.4 and dozens of 5.0s and down from 4.8s, 4.5s. Dozens of earthquakes and aftershocks. But did USGS show that on the map? No, they did not. Heaven forbid. My buddy Rob here in the chat points out a 4.8 just off the coast of Tofino, Canada today. A 4.8 off the coast of Vancouver Island, Canada. It's not the only earthquake. It's not the only earthquake. The agency does not want us to see what's happening. They don't want us to see what's going on. Kathy Payne is saying, is asking, Ron, what's the document you read to us, 250725? Kathy, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't recognize those numbers at all. Kathy says she needs to share it. I don't know what those numbers mean. 250725. Richard Smith is saying, under major pressure in many types of ways. Absolutely right. Kathy Payne says, yes, 6.1 happened. 15 minutes later. We had 2 6.6s. We had a 6.5. We had 6.4s. We had 6.1s. We had 5s. We had 4s. Did USGS or any other agency let us see all of them? EMSC did. Then EMSC took them down. Cathay Payne is saying the United Nations takeover. That's another idea. Yes, the United Nations wants to take us over. They do. You're absolutely right. Let's move on from here. This is just the second seismogram from Mount Lassen. I think I have one more. No, I don't. No, I don't. Does anybody have any questions about this seismogram I just showed you right here? Does anybody have any questions about what we're seeing at Mount Lassen here? It's getting ready to go. Like Mount Shasta, Mount Lassen has 10 seismographs surrounding the volcano. Only 3 are showing anything at all. The third one is not showing hardly anything though. Again, they've turned down the seismograph so it's not showing it. But this one does. This one does definitely show the activity. They may have turned this one down, but it's still showing a great lot of significant information here. Mount Lassen hasn't erupted since 1917, but it may be getting ready again. It may be getting ready again. Every one of the volcanoes in the Cascade Mountain region is steaming. Every one of the volcanoes from Mount Lassen north to Mount Baker are steaming. There was a ash eruption at Mount Rainier a few weeks ago. There was an ash eruption at Mount Rainier a few weeks ago. Did they say much about it? No, they did not. I have people that sent me pictures of the ash eruption, and I put them on the air a few weeks ago. Not just a steam eruption, but a lot of gray in it as well, meaning ash. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about Mount Lassen or Mount Shasta? If not, I'm going to go over to Mammoth Mountain. I have 3 seismographs I want to show you at Mammoth Mountain. This is East Central California. East Central California. There are again about 10 seismographs recording information at and around Mammoth Mountain. This one is MLC, seismograph MLC. Look what we're seeing here. These thicker lines are showing Mammoth having magma coming into the volcanic chamber, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. The seismograph is recording the data here. It's showing these thicker lines causing earthquakes here. Look at this. These vertical lines here are earthquakes. This is a 2.2 magnitude minor earthquake. A 2.2 minor earthquake. This appears to be either a 1.8 to 1.9 or close to a 2.0 earthquake. This is a 1.7 tremor here. This is tremor activity here, and you see the magma coming into the magma chamber causing these earthquakes, causing rock fracturing inside the volcano. Right here, this line does not have a dot in the middle of it. This line appears to be a steam signal. Again, Mammoth Mountain is also steaming. Mammoth Mountain is not part of the Cascade Mountain volcanoes. This is a separate and distinct volcano over in East Central California. Mammoth Mountain steaming. This is right here, where you see my cursor here. You see all this magma here and the corresponding earthquakes here. Here as well. Okay, what are we seeing here? This is another 2.0 earthquake today. About 8:30 this morning, 8:31 this morning, a 2.0 minor earthquake. Right here. This is just after, this appears to be about 10:15 a.m. this morning. One of my dear friends from North Dakota is calling me right here. I'll call him as soon as I get off the air. Okay? What are we having here? This is just after 12 noon. 12:09 a.m. or 12:09 p.m. today. Folks, this is nearly a 3.0 earthquake here at Mammoth Mountain. Either it's a 2.9, 3.0, or maybe slightly larger. This red line is computer generated, getting the seismologist's attention, saying, look at this. This is important. Right here we have magma coming into the magma chamber, and you see these vertical lines here. These vertical lines indicate to us that this magma is causing rock fracturing in the volcano. This is a small earthquake here. 3.0 small earthquake here. And aftershocks here. This is a secondary wave here. These are tremors after the fact of this earthquake here. Okay? Right here. You see a lot of magma here and you see earthquakes here. This appears to be a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. Magma here you see causing these earthquakes. The same thing here. This is after 2:30 this afternoon. 2:30 this afternoon here at Mammoth Mountain. I'm going to show you another one here. This is MLI, seismograph MLI. This is not showing as much activity here, except it is showing a couple earthquakes, a couple of good-sized earthquakes here at Mammoth today. Look at this. Look at this. Again, they cut off the top and the bottom of this sequence here. They don't want us to know the strength of this earthquake. They don't want us to know the strength of this quake, or this one here. This one here lasted over 30 seconds, but we had earthquakes before that. This one here lasted about 30 seconds here. 30 seconds of shaking. This is probably a 3.0 or maybe larger quake here. Okay? Right here we have another red line here, computer generated, meaning there's an earthquake here. And we have a secondary wave going out here to the right for about a minute, which means this earthquake was probably a 3.0 or larger earthquake here. Here they turned off or turned down the seismograph to nothing. The seismograph was turned down to nothing after 1:15 this morning. 1:15 this morning they turned it off or down. It's not recording any information at all until this morning right here. 2 small tremors here. This is 11, I want to say 11:10 a.m. 2 small tremors, and right here we have at least a 2.0 earthquake right here this afternoon. Okay? Mammoth Mountain. Now there is still snow on Mammoth. The snow is not melted on Mammoth because they had so much snow on Mammoth Mountain that it hasn't had the chance to melt yet. It may not melt at all. It may not melt at all. This is MMP. This is the south side of Mammoth Mountain. The thicker lines here are showing a great deal of magma coming into the magma chamber. And you see vertical lines here going through the magma. The vertical lines are earthquakes and tremors as a result of the magma fracturing rock inside the magma chamber here at Mammoth Mountain. That's what we're seeing here. Look at these thicker lines here. Thicker lines going down to smaller lines here and right here as well. Folks, this is pulse magma signals. Pulse magma signals. PULSE magma signals. That's what we're seeing here. We're seeing earthquake here. This is probably a 2.3, 2.4 earthquake right here. Down here is a different story. Look what we're seeing here. We're seeing vertical lines with no dots in the middle of them. This indicates steam coming from the volcano. Yes, we also see vertical lines with dots. Those are earthquakes. But if we see a vertical line without any dot in it, that means this is a steam signal. A steam signal. Yes, we are seeing tremors here. You see the tremors. This is a 2.0, 2.2 earthquake right there. Down here, this is a different story. This is a 3.0 earthquake here at Mammoth Mountain today, this afternoon. This happened approximately 12:30, I want to say 12:38 this afternoon, right there. A 3.0 earthquake this afternoon here at Mammoth Mountain. Mount St. Helens is not the only volcano having 3.0 small earthquakes. You see Mammoth Mountain right there had one today, this afternoon. Does anybody have any questions about Mammoth? Arnold Smith says, if Shasta blows, I'm wondering if its energy will rupture the Oroville Dam. Sacramento's downstream of the dam. If Shasta blows, the only way it would affect the Oroville Dam is if there was a lot of lahars going on, meaning lava and debris from the mountain washing down the river valleys and going up towards the dam. I do not think it would rupture the dam. I do not think it would rupture the dam. Oroville Dam is huge. It covers many hundreds of acres. I do not think it will rupture the dam at all. Okay? Wilson is saying the activity at Vancouver has me concerned. He says he is 80 miles from Mammoth. Wilson, I don't think the activity at Vancouver would have anything to do with Mammoth Mountain or anywhere around it. If there was a 10.0 major earthquake, and I'm talking about a Cascadia megathrust earthquake, that seismic energy would travel across the entire continent. The seismic energy would travel up north, up to Alaska, and all the way down to northern Mexico. But the shaking would not just contain itself to the west coast. The shaking would be felt all across the entire continent, Canada and the United States. Canada and the United States. Okay? Now, I want to talk about another volcano just east of Mammoth. It's called Long Valley. Long Valley is a very dangerous volcano. It's also a supervolcano. Long Valley is a supervolcano. I want to show you seismograph MCD. Seismograph MCD right here. Look what we're seeing here. Up at the top here is 2 p.m. 1400 hours here would be 2 p.m. We only see a partial line here after 2 p.m. This is 4:30 p.m. right here. 4:30 p.m. We see a pretty thick line here. Thicker lines are indicative of a lot of magma. Down here, the magma signal starts getting thinner. Okay, a thinner line here. But we still are seeing tremors here. Right here after 3 p.m., 1500 hours, the lava signal starts getting thicker here. The line is thicker. It gets thinner here. Right here, this is 3:30. The line here is still fairly thick. It gets thicker right here, and we have a tremor here. The line stays thick and gets even thicker here, and you can see tremors sticking up from these lines. Rock fracturing inside the volcano. Long Valley Volcano, a supervolcano. This is 4:30 here. Again, a thicker line, and we see these vertical lines here indicating rock fracturing here. Rock fracturing here. This appears to be a 2.0 minor earthquake right here. Thicker lines here, and we see these tremors here. This is 6:30 p.m. here. Again, another tremor. Another tremor here, and more tremors here. The same thing here after 9:30. I'm not saying 9:30, 7:30. 1930 is 7:30. Okay? How about this? How about this? Here we are at 2100, 9 p.m. last night. See these thicker lines? It's getting thinner here, and then all of a sudden we have a good-sized earthquake. This appears to be a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Okay, this is Long Valley. Long Valley, a super volcano. A 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here last night. Then all we have are tremors here. Nothing but tremors here. Literally all night long. I do not think they turned down the seismograph here. These are tremors here. We've been seeing tremors all along here. This seismograph may have been turned down all along, but we're not seeing any difference here. We come down here, okay? Right here, this is this morning. This is after 6:30 this morning. 6:30 this morning over here indicates right here, this would be about 6:10, 6:12 this morning. Look at that. These are 2.2, 2.3 earthquakes, both of these. This red line here is computer generated. That is telling me we also have an earthquake here that the USGS has not shown us. These are blue seismograms indicating that these are USGS seismograms. USGS seismograms. We see tremors here. We see another earthquake here. Okay? The top of this earthquake was cut off. The bottom of this earthquake sequence was cut off as well. This earthquake lasted about 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Being cut off, this earthquake was probably at least a 3.3 earthquake. A 3.3 earthquake, maybe larger. We don't know for sure. But we see this earthquake sequence come out to the right. This is a secondary wave here. So I don't think we're far off by saying this is at least a 3.0, 3.3 earthquake. Because the secondary wave indicates the secondary wave only lasted a short while here. Okay? Yes, we had an earthquake here, a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake right here. Okay? Long Valley volcano, a super volcano. This is just one seismograph. Just one seismograph. Let's show you another one. The next one is Long Valley MRD, or MDR. Long Valley MDR. Now this particular seismograph is located over on the east side, the southeast side of Long Valley Volcano. The southeast side of Long Valley Volcano. Look at the magma still coming into the volcano here. This is yesterday afternoon after 2 p.m. After 2 p.m. Between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. here. Actually 7:30 right here. At least 3 hours of volcanic activity, heavy-duty volcanic activity, and one good-sized earthquake. A 2.9, 3.0 earthquake right here. All of these vertical lines are tremors. All these other vertical lines are tremors as a result of magma coming into the volcanic chamber, fracturing rock inside the volcano. These are tremors here. This is a tremor here. Right here. This is 2:30. This over here on the left is 2:30 this morning. Right here, this is probably about 2:40. 2:40 a.m. here. This is a 2.0 earthquake. Long Valley Volcano. Then we jump down here. See these earthquakes here? Any red lines are generated by the computer. Not my computer, but the computer from Long Valley. Okay, that's monitoring the seismograph. Folks, right here we have a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. Right here. 2.9, 3.0 earthquake right there. Right here. This is just after 12 noon. 12:09 p.m. today. Again, a 3.0 earthquake right there. And we have a secondary wave coming out here about 20 seconds. Which means this 3.0 earthquake was actually a 3.0 earthquake. Okay, this is not a substantial secondary wave here. It only lasted maybe 20 seconds. Okay, Long Valley Volcano. This is a substantial amount of magma at Long Valley, and this is actually over on the southeast side of the volcano, meaning the volcano is moving. The volcano is getting a substantial amount of magma to the volcano. One more here at Long Valley. Look at this. This is over on the northwest side of Long Valley. MLH is on the northwest side of Long Valley. Look what we're seeing here. This is nearly a 3.0 earthquake here. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Again, the red lines that you see up and all over this seismograph are computer generated to get the attention of the seismologist. That's what's happening. Okay? These are all earthquakes. Decent sized earthquakes. 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. This is a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake here. Tremors and minor earthquake. This is a minor earthquake here. This is close to a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. Minor earthquake. Tremors here. 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here. This is after 7:30 this morning. About 7:34 this morning. This again is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. This is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. This is a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here. This appears to be a 3.0 earthquake here, although we can't see the bottom of it. We can't see the bottom of it because it's covered up by other events after that. Right here, this may be a 3.0 earthquake, if not very close to that. This is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here, the same here. Long Valley volcano is moving, and it's moving substantially. Long Valley volcano is moving substantially. Okay, this is East Central California. East Central California. And I'm not done yet. I'm not done. I'm now going over south of Long Valley, south of Mammoth Mountain. And just so you know, Long Valley is east of Mammoth Mountain. There is some talk by seismologists that Long Valley is part of Mammoth, or Mammoth is part of Long Valley. The Long Valley caldera is 23 miles in diameter. The Long Valley volcano is 23 kilometers in, or not 23 kilometers, 23 miles in diameter. If that includes Mammoth Mountain as well, that would put the circumference of that volcanic caldera upwards of 72 miles in diameter. That is a huge volcanic caldera here in the United States, in California. That's a big deal. Now, there is a volcano south of Mammoth and south of Long Valley. It's called, oh gosh. Let me go over here to the USGS map, okay? I can't remember the name of it for some stupid reason. I've done a lot of research on these volcanoes, guys. A ton of research. It's right here. This is Ubehebe craters. Ubehebe craters. In the past, folks, this volcano had a lot of information. The seismograph has been turned off. The seismograph here at Ubehebe craters is turned off. This is out in the desert of Eastern California. Out in the desert of southeastern California. South of Mammoth, south of Ubehebe, south of Long Valley volcano. Ubehebe craters. You can see the crater here. And there are multiple craters, multiple vents around this volcano. That means there's been multiple eruptions over the last few hundred years. There's a volcano, there's a vent here, a vent here, a vent here, a small vent here, and a little bit larger vent right here, and other vents here. This is a substantial volcano, and in the past, over the past 6 months, the seismograph has been turned off. They are not reporting any information from Ubehebe craters at all. For whatever reason. I don't know. Renee Steffi says she has to leave right now, and that's fine. Renee, have a good night. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. That was Ubehebe craters. The series of earthquakes here. This is Mammoth Mountain. I'm sorry. This is Mono Inyo craters. This is Mono Lake volcanic field. Also California. Right here. This is Mammoth Mountain that we've been reporting about. This is Long Valley Volcano here. We just got through talking about right here. Okay? Guess what? I've done a little bit of research here at Mono Lake. I want to show you what I found. Guess what? Guess what? This is Mount Rose over by Reno, California. Okay? Let's go south. I want to show you what exactly has been going on at Mono Lake. We just got through talking about Mammoth Mountain. We talked about Long Valley, and I just got through talking about Ubehebe craters. Well, guess what? North of Mammoth Mountain, which is right here, this is Mammoth Mountain, and Long Valley is here. Ubehebe craters is right here. Guess what? Mono Lake is right here. Guess what has been happening at Mono Lake that USGS has not told us about? They have not once told us about earthquakes around Mono Lake. See, this is Mono Lake. This island in the middle of Mono Lake is just like the other lake we talked about earlier, yesterday. We talked about Crater Lake. The center of Crater Lake is got an island in it. It was called Wizard Island. This is the island here at Mono Lake. Just like Wizard Island is the summit of Crater Lake, this is the summit of Mono Lake Volcano. The summit of Mono Lake Volcano. Guess what? Guess what? 3.3 earthquake. 3.3 earthquake, 19.7 miles northeast of Mono Lake. 3.3. This happened on 8 July. Just 4 days ago. 4 days ago. Look at this, guys. There's been a swarm of earthquakes that USGS has not even told us about. A swarm of earthquakes here just northeast of Mono Lake that USGS has not once told us about. This is the 3.2. This is a 3.3. Small earthquakes. This is a 2.3 here. A 2.3. Look at all the earthquakes here. USGS has not once told us about this. Not once. Not even once. Now look over to the right here. There's been an earthquake over by Bishop, California too. Just south of Mammoth. Bishop, California. It's a 1.1 tremor at Bishop, California. They haven't told us about that, right? Not a word. Not a word. Let's go just east of here. I want to show you what's going on. A few years ago, we told you about a series of earthquakes happened out here in the middle of Nevada. A series of earthquakes. Adobe Hills Monocrystal Volcanic Range. Adobe Hills Monocrystal Volcanic Range. Mina, Tonopah, Nevada. Mina and Tonopah, Nevada. This is a 0.8 tremor, microquake here. 0.8 microquake here. This is a 1.3 tremor here in the same area. I just started looking here on the Nevada seismograms. From now on, I'm going to keep you in tune of what's going on here in Nevada. This is in the Adobe Hills Monocrystal Volcanic Range. This is a volcanic range, guys. If I showed you this range over on Google Earth, you could see all of the craters and all of the which I call them, all of the craters and all of the cones all throughout this desert here. And they range here from Tonopah, Mina, Nevada, all the way out here to the northeast to where? Nellis Air Force Base. Nellis Air Force Base. This is the entire Adobe Hills Monocrystal Volcanic Range. It goes from over here in Mina, Tonopah, Nevada, all the way up here to Nellis Air Force Base. Okay? They haven't been talking about this in a long time. I saw these earthquakes here that just happened within the last couple of days, and I want to show them to you. These should be concerning. They should be concerning because that earthquake that happened in the Adobe Hills Monocrystal Volcanic Range was a 6.5 just a few years ago. Just a few years ago. And they haven't said a thing since about it. Not a word. Now, I want to go back over here. Why? Because I think we have a lot to talk about still. Okay? Let's drop down to, let's go back, let's drop down over to Koza Volcano. I want to show you what's been happening at Koza Volcano. I'm going to show you one seismogram from Koza Volcano. Okay? This is over in the Mojave Desert area. Okay? North of Ridgecrest, Koza Volcano. Yes, we've had some earthquakes here. Let me enlarge this seismogram so you can see it better. Let me pull it down here. I want you to see this. This is after 2 p.m. yesterday. 2 p.m. right over here. Right here. Folks, this is about 2:15 yesterday. They cut off the top because it went off the paper. They cut off the bottom of both of these earthquakes here. Folks, here at Koza Volcano, these were 3.5 earthquakes. These were a minimum of 3.5 earthquakes at Koza Volcano. Out here, you see the secondary wave out here. The secondary wave here lasted 4 minutes long. The secondary wave was at least 4 minutes long, which means these earthquakes here were at least 4.0 earthquakes at Koza Volcano. We have not seen a 4.0 earthquake or anywhere close to that at Koza Volcano in years. But here we've seen it today. Actually, this was yesterday afternoon. Folks, this is a 3.0 earthquake. This is a 2.89 earthquake here. This earthquake happened just after 4:10 p.m. here. This one was after 4:43 p.m. here yesterday. 4:43 p.m. here yesterday. Here we have tremors. A minor earthquake here. A 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here. Look at this magma here. Look at this magma causing this earthquake here. Rock fracturing at Koza Volcano. Look at this here. A 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here caused by magma. This is also a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Okay? The red lines are computer generated to get the seismologist's attention. This is a 2.7, 2.8. This is a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. This is a 2.7 earthquake here. Okay? You're seeing these earthquakes here. This red line here. This red line here is an earthquake here. This was right before midnight. This earthquake here happened right before midnight, and it carries over here. And we have a secondary quake right here, a secondary wave. This earthquake was probably close to 3.0 earthquake. The top and the bottom have been cut off. Okay? That was midnight last night. Let's take a look at the other events here. Okay? Right here we have tremors here. We have a tremor here. This is just after 3:45 a.m. here. A tremor. We have other tremors here. This is after it's 5:30 a.m. here, and we're having tremors here, caused by magma. Magma at Koza Volcano. Koza volcanic field. This is not just one volcano, it's a volcanic field. This is a 2.0 earthquake. Folks, this down here, this is after 11:40 a.m. here. Approximately 11:40 a.m. here. This is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. This morning, guys, the seismic activity continued. And you can see here a 2.4, 2.5 earthquake here, a 2.0 earthquake here. Koza volcanic field north of Ridgecrest, California. We haven't talked about Koza in a long time. We haven't talked much about Ridgecrest either. But guess what? I'm about to show you Ridgecrest, California. I'm going to show you the seismogram from Ridgecrest, California right now. Look here. Okay? Now, you may wonder why we're showing you a seismogram coming from Ridgecrest. About 2.5 years ago, we saw what they called a magma churn signal. A magma churn signal. What a magma churn signal is a small rectangle. A small rectangle. And lines going out to the right of that small rectangle. That small rectangle is usually 23 to 24 lines high. The small rectangle, the magma churn signal, only occurs at volcanoes. It only occurs at volcanoes. And guess what? We actually saw it here at Ridgecrest, China Lake seismogram. That tells us here that we do have a volcano at Ridgecrest, China Lake. Now, why is this important? Now, back in 2019, we had a 7.1 earthquake that hit Ridgecrest. 2 days before that, we had two 6.9 earthquakes. We had two 6.9 earthquakes. USGS took one down and downgraded the other to a 6.4. July 4th, 2019, we had a 7.1 earthquake at Ridgecrest. After that earthquake, we had someone that reported having magma down in the tunnels around China Lake Naval Air Weapons Station. Yes, the Navy had an air weapons station out here near Ridgecrest called China Lake. In their tunnels, there was magma. In the Navy tunnels, there was magma. How do I know that? Because, folks, I have friends whose sons were paid to go down into the tunnels to retrieve electronic equipment that was left there in the tunnels that they did not want destroyed. There are about 500 men and women that were paid by the federal government to come down here to China Lake to pull equipment out of the tunnels. And guess what they found? They found magma in the tunnels. They found magma in the tunnels. Now, that's all fine and good. But up until that time, we did not realize that this area was a volcano. It wasn't until about 2 years ago we found a magma churn signal on this particular seismogram, which identifies this as a volcano. The volcano. The volcano at China Lake Ridgecrest. What we're seeing here is magma that's causing these earthquakes. Magma is causing each and every one of these earthquakes here. The thicker the lines, the more magma we have. Right here we see magma causing rock fracturing here. Magma causing rock fracturing here. Magma causing rock fracturing here. You see the vertical lines. Vertical lines indicate rock fracturing inside the volcanic chamber. The same thing here. In this case, we have a 2.4, 2.5 earthquake here. Behind it here, we have probably a 2.0, 2.2 earthquake here. A 2.0 earthquake here, a 2.2 earthquake here, and look at this. Look at this. Magma coming into the volcanic chamber, fracturing rock, causing tremors here. This sequence here caused an earthquake here. It came in as red here. It continued over here. The earthquake started here, continued over here. Okay? Guess what? All these earthquakes here are caused by magma here at the China Lake Ridgecrest volcano. Okay? Candida Huckleberry is asking what state. This is Southern California. This is Southern California. Sleeping Volcano is here in the chat saying she's going to sleep. Sleeping Volcano, thank you so much for being here. God bless you. Now, folks, Sleeping Volcano is a dear friend of mine. She's been with us many years. She and her husband have cancer. We ask the Lord's blessings to be upon her and her husband, Dennis. We love you guys very much. Thank you for being here. We love you very much. Folks, this is California, Southern California, Ridgecrest, California. This is a volcano there. This is a volcano. There is no doubt in my mind what I'm telling you here. I've done the research. I can prove it. I can prove it. Now, do any of you have any questions for me? I'm happy to take any other questions from you for you. We've been talking about earthquakes, we've been talking about volcanoes, and we've been talking about emergency preparedness. Do you guys have any questions for me? Ken Staley, thank you for that. Ken Staley's here from Costa Rica, Central America. Thank you for being here, Ken. We appreciate you here. Do you have any questions for me in regards to anything we talked about tonight? I know we've been here now just under 2 hours. I don't like taking these programs any longer than 2 hours. It gets to be way too much. Right now it's 9 p.m. Eastern Time. 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Do any of you have any questions for me? Ken Staley says, didn't the military shut down that base? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But I have a feeling, okay, this is just a gut feeling. There have been planes that have been seen taking off from the China Lake Naval Air Weapons Station. They test high-performance Navy aircraft there. So it would not surprise me that some parts of the base are still active. Okay? I used to know the commanding officer at China Lake Naval Air Weapons Station. I can't say we're good friends, but we were at least good acquaintances. Candida Huckleberry says, are these close to the fault? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're very close to the Garlock Fault. Wilson says, always watch and appreciate the time to tell. I appreciate you being here, Wilson, I really do. You all here are the reason that I'm here every day. I'm here for you. I'm here for your families. I enjoy giving you information to protect yourselves. Yes, we do talk about earthquakes literally around the world. We're not going to stop. Today there were a couple very large, I can't say very large, but substantially large earthquakes down in Papua New Guinea. Kokopo, New Guinea. There were large 5.0s. 5.3 and 5.6, I believe it was. Folks, those earthquakes were not on land. They did not get anywhere near land. That was lucky for the people of Papua New Guinea. These earthquakes were out to sea. Let me show you briefly where they were. These earthquakes were out to sea. Nowhere near it, okay? This was 24 kilometers north-northwest of Kimbe, Papua New Guinea, okay? Let me pull these earthquakes up here real quick. Right here. This is a 5.3. This is 103 kilometers west-northwest of Rabaul, Papua New Guinea. Okay? This one here. This one was a 5.6. A very strong earthquake. A 5.6 very large earthquake. This was 97 kilometers west-northwest of Rabaul, Papua New Guinea. Okay? Large earthquakes there. This is Australia. We've been seeing earthquakes over here off the northwestern coast of Australia. USGS will never show them to us. Rarely ever do we ever see USGS showing us earthquakes. But there have been a swarm of earthquakes over here off the northwestern coast of Australia. You see earthquakes over here in the south central part of Indonesia. Over here off the northwestern side of Sumatra, Indonesia, this is a 4.8 earthquake. This is 121 kilometers west-northwest of Sinabang, Indonesia. Sinabang, Indonesia is right here. This is where the Sinabang volcano is. The Sinabang volcano. Okay? Over here. I want to show you this earthquake. This is Baitung, Indonesia. This is north-central Indonesia here. Okay? USGS has not been showing us any earthquakes at all over here in the Philippines. They're not showing us any earthquakes here in the Philippines. Over here where you see my cursor. The other day here it was a 7.1 earthquake. USGS showed us earthquakes here, but they did not show any other earthquakes. I'm going to pull this down. This is Mindanao, Philippines here. This is the largest island and also in the southern Philippines, right here. We've been having a series of earthquakes here. These earthquakes are a result of having an 8.4 earthquake here earlier this year. 8.4 major earthquake here earlier this year. As a result of that earthquake, we're going to continue to see a great number of earthquakes here in this region for probably the next 2 to 3 years. When we get a major earthquake in this region, we have aftershocks that continue for months and even years. And we're still seeing that today. Okay? This earthquake here, was it yesterday or the day before, was a 4.3. an aftershock of the 8.4 many months ago. It's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. Now I want to come up here to Japan. Okay? Right down here, south of Japan. This is Itaman, Japan. This is also a 5.3 earthquake here. A 5.3 earthquake. Over here in Taiwan. This is a 4.4. This is 18 kilometers east of Hualien City, Taiwan. East of Hualien City, Taiwan. Okay? Hualien City is a secondary city to the capital of Taiwan, Taipei, Taiwan. Hualien City is right up here where you see my cursor. This is out to sea. A 4.4 earthquake here. Why are we getting earthquakes here? Because, folks, we had a major 8.4 earthquake here earlier this year. Yes, another 8.4 earthquake here. I'm going to go up into Japan now. I want to show you what we have here. Okay? USGS is not reporting any of this. There is an earthquake right here just off the coast. It's a 4.2 earthquake. Over here on the western side of Japan here. I want to show you this. This is important to understand. Over here, we're going to show you just a second as soon as the map resolves itself. This is Noto Peninsula. Right here is the town of Noto, N-O-T-O, Japan. Earlier this year, about February of this year, we had a major earthquake right here. It was another 8.4 earthquake. This earthquake killed at least 300 people and injured many more than 300 here on the Noto Peninsula. Buildings were flat. Homes and buildings were flattened here. Property was destroyed. There are thousands of people here that live on the Noto Peninsula. We're still seeing earthquakes now. We are still seeing earthquakes here now. Okay? USGS doesn't want to show them to us. That's all right. That's because USGS is stupid. They are stupid. Right here, we've seen earthquakes come out of Indonesia right here. Those earthquakes have come over here to Taiwan. They've moved over here through Japan and come up this fault line here. The other day, earlier this week, we had a 5.3 here in the Kuril Islands, right between Hokkaido, Japan, and right here at the Kamchatka Peninsula. A 5.3 earthquake here. Right over here, just east of the Kamchatka Peninsula, guess what? This is a 5.1 earthquake on the western side of the Aleutian Island Fault Zone. The western side of the Aleutian Island Fault Zone right here. You see minor tremors and minor earthquakes all through this area. Today we see at least 60 earthquakes here in Alaska today. 60 earthquakes. Over here, let's talk about the Pacific Northwest here. Okay? Right here. This is the 4.8 earthquake that we talked about here today. Today. Another 4.8 earthquake. Folks, we've seen two 6.6s. We've seen a lot of other 6s and 5s in this area. And for USGS to only show us a 4.8 is a travesty. It's a travesty because we are seeing large earthquakes here that they're not talking about. Over here in the Blanco Fracture Zone, we're still seeing earthquakes here today. This is a 3.6 here on the Blanco Fracture Zone west of Oregon, some 220 kilometers west of Oregon here. Down here, this is another earthquake here. This happened yesterday evening. This is a 3.1 earthquake yesterday evening. This is on the Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Escarpment. You see the Cascadia Subduction Zone right here? It runs along the coast of British Columbia, Canada, runs all the way down the coast of Washington and Oregon, coming in here into Northern California right here. Right here is where it meets up with the San Andreas Fault that runs all the way through California here. And you wonder why we're having earthquakes on the San Andreas. We're having earthquakes all over the San Andreas Fault. Wild, huh? And more earthquakes out here in the west. More earthquakes out here in the west. Fancy that. Fancy that. What do we have right here? Folks, this is Kansas. A 2.4 earthquake in Assyria, Kansas. Go figure. That is oil and gas fracking operations in Kansas. Oil and gas fracking operations in Kansas. We come over here to Texas, western Texas right here. Folks, this southwestern Texas, Toya, Texas. We have oil and gas fracking operations here. This is a 2.1 earthquake, and there's a swarm of earthquakes here. There's a swarm of earthquakes here. Now we go further east, right here. This is oil and gas fracking operations here. This is a 1.6 in Coinosa, Texas. Oil and gas fracking operations here. It's happening all over the place. It's literally happening all over Texas, all over Oklahoma, and up into Kansas. Oil and gas fracking operations. We've seen earthquakes here on the Pneumatic Fault. Earthquakes here on the Pneumatic Fault reaching all the way up here into Illinois and Indiana. It's happening. The other day we showed you earthquakes all over the East Coast. That's because of earthquakes hitting over here in the Atlantic Ocean on the north part of the Mid-Atlantic Fault. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding, pushing North America and Canada and Greenland in a south-southwesterly direction. What is it doing over in Africa and Europe? It's pushing Europe and Africa in an easterly direction here. They are not showing, USGS is not showing any earthquakes here in Spain. They're not showing any earthquakes here in France. They're not showing any earthquakes here in Switzerland, Germany, or Austria. For a fact, I want to pull down here. They're not showing any earthquakes here in Italy. None. There are 48 earthquakes here in Italy alone. The majority of those earthquakes here are here in central Italy. Most of those earthquakes are here in central Italy, and we are about to see a large earthquake here in Italy. Every time we see swarms of earthquakes happen, it's because they're gearing up for a larger earthquake, and that's a fact. The last time we had swarms here, we had a 5.1 earthquake. It's gearing up for that again. Over here, just in the southern part, off the coast of Italy here. Right off the coast of Italy here, we have Stromboli and Etna volcano. Both of those volcanoes are erupting and are causing property damage and human evacuations from those islands. Stromboli and Etna volcano are erupting. Okay? Now, we go over here to Greece. USGS is showing us 2 earthquakes here. One earthquake here in northern Greece. Folks, this is a 4.3 earthquake in Papadakis, Greece. A 4.3. Down here in southern Greece here. This is another 4.3 here in Chalanthrista, Greece. Well, guess what? Yes, there are 2 4.3 earthquakes, but there are 50 earthquakes here in Greece that USGS is not telling us about. They're not. Why not? Because USGS is too stupid. They'd rather talk to politicians telling them not to report earthquakes. Fascinating. There are earthquakes here in the Mediterranean right here. USGS is also not showing us these. Earthquakes over here in the western Turkey area. about 30 earthquakes here today. They're not showing any of these. There's a dozen or so earthquakes up here in northern Turkey. They're not showing those either. There's another half dozen earthquakes here in southern Turkey. They're not showing us these either. Now, I want to go over here to the western or eastern Turkey. Right here. This is the border region of Syria and Turkey. Right here. The border region of Syria and Turkey. Right here we have 60 earthquakes here today. 60 earthquakes here that USGS is not telling us about. Why? Because a year and a half ago we had a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake annihilate this area. A 9.0, 10.0 earthquake hit here in February last year. We're still seeing aftershocks of that earthquake here. We're still seeing aftershocks a year and a half later. And USGS doesn't have the gall to show us what's going on. Heaven forbid. There are nearly 1,000 earthquakes worldwide. Nearly 1,000 earthquakes worldwide, and USGS is not telling us about it. Why? Stupidity, guys. Stupidity. Anybody have any questions now? Yes, folks, please thumb up our channel. We greatly appreciate it. Okay? Thumbs up is just one way of letting USGS know that there are people here that appreciate what we're doing. That our information here is valid. Our information here is valid. It's valid all day long. It's valid all day long. One other thing that the USGS does that most people don't even know about. One thing they do, they go in and look at the number of people that watch our program. They look at the number of people that watch our program for any length of time. Those two factors and our thumbs up are the primary factors that they use in evaluating this channel to see if they're going to allow other channels to be seen, or allow other people on YouTube to see our channel. That's what they do. That's what we do. Folks, we need your support. We need your subscribership here. My buddy Rob52 is here, and I'm very grateful for him in many ways. Rob52 is asking everybody to be a new channel member. Just below this video, you're going to see a join button. You can join this EMA family here as a member of our EMA channel. We kept the membership low because a lot of people have a lot of problem and don't have that much money. The lowest membership rate is $1.99 a month. The next one is $2.99 a month. The next one, the highest one, is $3.99 a month. If you want to help our channel grow and help our channel stay active, you can join us as a member here. We greatly appreciate it. Very shortly, I'm going to hold member meetings here. I want people to become members here because the member meetings we're going to have only members only. We're going to put out information that only members are going to see it first. Okay? That's a fact. We need your help. Earlier today, or tonight, I told you about our PayPal locations. We have 2 PayPal locations. After this program is finished, within the next 10 minutes afterwards, I'm going to put up our program description. At the top of that program description, you're going to have a link to become a member of this program. The second one after that is our email address. The other information after that are our PayPal addresses and our address where you can send us cards and letters and donations within those cards and letters. 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code is 28655. Demon Catman is here in the chat. Dean, I appreciate you very much. Demon Catman says Ron loves cards and letters and parcels, where you can send a check donation inside those cards and letters. Yes, people do that, and we greatly appreciate that. Thanks for reminding us, Dean. We appreciate it. Rob52 just upgraded his membership to level 2. Rob, thank you so much. God bless you, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of our mods here. I really do. You guys are my lifeline. You guys are my best friends. And you do a wonderful job helping us stay on topic and getting rid of the trolls. Yes, we get rid of trolls here all day long. All day long. Now, I want to share a scripture with you before we get off the air. I usually show a script or talk to you about scriptures after our program is over. Tonight, I'm going over to the book of Isaiah. I love the book of Isaiah. Isaiah the prophet saw our day. Isaiah the prophet saw our day. In Isaiah chapter 51, verse 1, hearken to me that ye follow righteousness, follow after righteousness. Ye that seek the Lord, look unto the rock whence ye are hewn, to the hole of the pit whence ye are digged. Isaiah is talking about cleaving unto the rock, Jesus Christ. In verse 4, hearken unto me, my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation, for a law shall proceed from me, and I will make my judgment to rest for light of the people. For light to the people. In verse 6, lift your eyes to the heavens, and look upon the earth beneath. For the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment, and they that dwell therein shall die in like manner. But my salvation shall be forever, and my righteousness shall not be abolished. Hearken unto me, ye that know righteousness, the people in whose heart is my law. Fear ye not the reproach of men, neither be ye afraid of their revilings. Neither be ye afraid of their revilings. Brothers and sisters, the gospel of Jesus Christ is true. The gospel of Jesus Christ can help us. The gospel of Jesus Christ can lift us up. The gospel of Jesus Christ can be a strength to us and our families. We are living in a time of trouble and turmoil. Everything is upside down. The gospel of Jesus Christ can be a guide to us if we will let it. Last night I talked about a scripture that says, let your light so shine among men that they may see your good works and edify your Father that is in heaven. A candlestick. Put a candlestick up. Your light of this candlestick is up above so nobody can hide it. The gospel of Jesus Christ is the light of the world. The gospel of Jesus Christ is what we want to have, to light our way through the darkness. Brothers and sisters, I have a testimony that this is true. In Isaiah chapter 52, verse 7, and I'm going to end here. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publish peace, that bringeth good tidings of good, that publishes salvation, that saith unto Zion, thy God reigneth. God is in charge. God loves each and every one of us. May God continue to bless us. May God be with us. It's my testimony that each one of us has a Spirit of God within us. Each one of us can live till tomorrow. Each one of us can live forever. There is a plan of salvation that God has for us. This life is just a beginning. The next life is a continuance of this. And then the next life we're going to live forever with our Father in heaven. Please remember that. Please remember that. I keep teaching my children the same thing. We have a daughter that's in a lot of trouble right now. Everybody's ignoring her. She's now living on the street. Carol and I are trying our best to lift her up and trying our best to get her here in North Carolina from Utah. Nobody is willing to lift a hand for her. I pray, my wife and I pray for her every day. We love her. The streets are not safe for anybody, let alone a woman. She's 26. She's just barely starting out. I ask the Lord to bless her. Brothers and sisters, lift our children up. Not just mine, but yours as well. They need us. They need us, brothers and sisters. The only way we're going to grow is to grow together. The only way we're all going to grow together is for us to stand by each other. To work together. To work together. May God bless us to that end. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I love you very dearly. I started this channel to help each and every one of you. I started this channel to talk about earthquakes, and ever since then, it's gone even further. I love each and every one of you. Brothers and sisters, on Saturday, tomorrow, we're going to take the day off unless something else major happens. Sunday morning, we'll be back on the air about 12 noon with our Sunday school class that we call Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. Sunday is a sacred day in my book, a sacred day in my life. I love sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ with all of you. I ask all of you to join us here on Sunday morning at 12 noon for Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I honor you. I ask the Lord to bless you. God be with you always. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you on Sunday at 12 noon. Have a good night. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you later. Good night, everybody. Much love.